Good afternoon and welcome to today's webcast, Increase Your Business's Planning Agility. Before we begin, I'm going to play a brief housekeeping video.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us. We're pleased to present another in our ongoing series of continuing professional education webcasts to help companies and individuals conquer challenges as they plan for what's next. Our presentation will start in a few moments. Before we begin, here are a few things to keep in mind. You can customize how you both view our presentation and interact with the presenter. For better viewing, close all other applications and turn up your speaker volume. You can also adjust window size and placement or enter full screen mode using the controls at the top of the window or dragging the bottom right-hand corner to resize. At the bottom of your screen, you'll see a series of icons, each relating to a different aspect of our session. You can download the group attendance sheet and a PDF copy of today's slides from the slide deck and handouts widget to the right of the slide view. You can ask our presenter questions during the webcast by typing a question in the Q&A window below the slide view and clicking submit. We'll do our best to answer all questions during the presentation or follow up via email. If you experience technical difficulty during today's presentation, refresh your browser by hitting the F5 key.
All right, and as a reminder, the material appearing in this presentation is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as advice of any kind, including, without limitation, legal, accounting, or investment advice. And I am pleased to introduce today's speaker from Moss Adams, Loren Den Herder. Loren is a firm leader of business intelligence and corporate performance management. He helps businesses improve their processes to become more efficient and make better decisions. And with that, Loren, I will turn it over to you to get us started.
Thank you, Emily, and thank you, everybody, for joining. As we talk through increasing your business planning agility, we'll talk first about leveraging your data and how you do that with automated planning. And then we'll talk a bit about how that increases your agility and reduces your administrative cost, and then move into how that is increasing your decision-making support, making you a better data-driven business, and then preparing you for what's ahead. So let's just start it here and just talk about leveraging the data you have and using an automated planning. So there are a few things that are very common across all of our clients, and we see a lot of effort go into these activities. So consolidated reporting, allocated costs, and the like. And this is really important in terms of just understanding what is currently happening in your business and how is that shaping up to what you're planning. And as you put in a lot of effort on these and get them out to the organization, that provides the information that is needed to make decisions about what is the next step. Now, what I'd like to do here is just kind of play the same story kind of in two different ways to illustrate how automation really helps out in this. So the first one is if you're doing this via a manual process, spreadsheets and the like that we so often see and we all know, and you get to the end of a month, you hold together your information, get it into your reporting, publish it out, and you're very efficient at that. You get it out and published to your managers in, let's say, 2 weeks. At that point, the month is already done, and you're halfway through the next month. So what I'd like to do is replay that story from an automated planning perspective, where now we're in the middle of the month, and we want to get a little preview, how are things shaping up. With automated planning, with the touch of a button, what you're then able to do is to see consolidated reporting. If those costs were allocated, what would that look like for your department? Your eliminations, how are they playing out? So it gives you that overall picture of what's happening right then in the middle of the month that you're in, and you still have half of that month left to go ahead and make whatever corrections, or if things are going really well, step on the gas on what's making it go well. And so that automated planning just increases that ability to engage deeply in that data. So what that brings is, a couple of key benefits right from the beginning here. And that is, increasing your agility and reducing cost. And there's really a huge value in increasing that agility and seeing the data early in the process when you're still in that decision-making window, and then you're able to make decisions that make a real difference to the business, and do the whole thing at a lower cost. Also, increasing your information for decision-making support. This is really all about becoming a data-driven organization, having this information at your fingertips and at your budget manager's fingertips for those who are accountable, so that they can make a change in real time and really be implementing agility in their area of responsibility. Just to provide an example, so this is one where it helps you to see that automated planning doesn't have to be super techy. In fact, it's really best if it's business focused and it's something that the business can configure and have full control over. At the same time, that it's very approachable. So what you're seeing is, a spreadsheet-like function on the right-hand side, and then all of that summarized up on the left-hand side with results in graphs that are showing, past and current performance. So this type of a solution is often what we call SaaS-based, meaning you get to it from your browser. It's very interactive and collaborative, and the whole intent here is to make it so approachable and so familiar in its look and feel that your managers are able to really engage with this and have a collaborative tool set, so you're working together. Using that kind of a tool set, we can just talk now about transforming the business agility and what does that mean to reduce those administrative costs. So many of our clients, as we begin to work with them, are coming from the world of spreadsheets in terms of their planning, reporting, and looking forward. What we find is there are these results that are immediate in putting in an automated planning system. So it's kind of starting from the top here, the planning speed, the ability to go through scenario planning very, very quickly is something that, in spreadsheets, it takes a lot of, copying spreadsheets, getting the right version of them, where are they stored in your shared drive, we all know what spreadsheets are and how that list kind of goes on. With automated planning, you have that one place that you can go, and it becomes that single source of truth. Same thing applies to data management, where within spreadsheets, you can import a lot of data, but it's within the rigors and structure of the spreadsheet and how it works. Whereas with automated planning, you can build a lot of different references back and forth and be able to then drill into those and see, very, very quickly and keenly what they all mean, which gets us to the next point is drilling down into insights. In a spreadsheet, you can, of course, follow the links. You can look across the pages and see, all of those things. But the ability to just click on a number, drill into it, see what's underneath of that, and then be right back where you came from is super powerful just in terms of being in what we call analytical flow. You have something in mind, you want to answer that question immediately, just click on it, get the answer, then go back and continue with your analysis. Then with having your information in one place, a single source of truth, that's where you get organizational alignment. You want to get away from the conversations that are saying, yeah, that's your information, this is my information, where did you get that? It's like, take all that time, that conversation, set it aside, have the single source of truth, now talk about what the numbers actually mean. Enormous value in that kind of organizational alignment. So I've talked a bit about engagement. And so, what does that mean? And really what it means is, with automation, if you spend less time in the low value added tasks, so things like just pulling data together and get it presentable, if you can automate that you can get people engaged in what the numbers mean rather than the actual work of pulling the numbers together. The same with publishing, rather than having to spend a lot of time publishing, get people access to the information they need that's fully secured. Having that information in one place really improves the confidence and ownership of the numbers. And I can't overemphasize enough that ownership of the numbers. If you have one place where everybody is going and you're continually examining those numbers, any questions that are in people's minds, they'll get voiced, and then you can, address those And either the numbers need addressing and everybody will see that, or they turn out to be better understood and everybody can see that in the confidence scores. And what that means is then you get into what's the meaning of this and what do we need to do with it. So it allows you to deliver those insights with literally a single click and be able to see what is it that's happening right now within the decision-making window so that you have the agility to move forward. I'm just going to present that a little different way as well. So over on the left-hand side, what you're seeing is that this is a slide that takes tactical and moves up to strategic. To get to strategic, you absolutely have to have the tactical. You have to have financial operations. You have to have reporting. It's only after you have those things that you then have the information presented in a way that you can get your insights. The key here is to say, how much time does it take to get to those? If you're automating the financial operations and the reporting, then all that time then bubbles to the top and you have more time to really talk about the insights and to have the conversation to be about the insights, not the struggle to get to the data that gives you the insights. So that's really the state that we're trying to get to and to present here and what these automated tools are really offering. That's with that automation and with that tool set, what you're going to end up with is some communication fluidity. And what that means is across the organization, you're going to be able to have very dynamic conversations that are talking about the meaning of the numbers, what are the opportunities that are being presented in the numbers in real time in the business. So again, kind of winding that clock back from reporting and publishing and doing all the work kind of after the period happens to being able to do that with the click of a button within the period and to see how are things shaping up when you still have time to leverage that or do something about it, whatever the case may be in that particular business climate that you're within. That communication, when it's in a tool that's accessible from a browser, can be accessed anywhere across the organization, which means as you're working and your managers are working within their department and they need to coordinate with the results of another department, those things are tied together within the tool. And if one department makes the decisions that are necessary for them, you'll see across the organization how that flows into and then will affect and need some changes that are in other departments that are related to that. So that really quick interaction between the departments just adds a lot about this communication fluidity and people being able to kind of own their own destiny and make the decisions they need to make. So that kind of gets to the third bullet point here about business having a high degree of functional control. So, as a business person in a non-techie tool that's very, very powerful, you're able to achieve that control and be able to see the models and present the data in a way that really gives keen insights. Simplified data integration is kind of another thing that these tools, they've really advanced in that ability to pull data from many different places and tie it together and put it into common dashboards that at a glance you can really see what's happening. All of that communication and the integration and engagement across your departments, it really is about building a business solution focus. So kind of obscuring the technology and having it present in a way that is very approachable and people can focus more on the insights and what the insights are revealing and presenting in terms of opportunity and how to take advantage of that. So it's one of the things that we often will encourage is this concept of rapid experimentation. That means that you'll want to, in these tools, you'll be able to do scenario planning. So what if we did this? What if we did that? But as you're doing that, it doesn't really take away from or disturb your annual plan, your quarterly reforecasting, all of those plans that you're doing just really stay on top of where the business is at. You can still do this experimentation to see, does one of these ideas that I have work? If it does, you can then wire it into the mainstream If not, you're not highly invested. You can throw it aside, and you've done your work, and you can move on. So it really facilitates this insightful, and I'll kind of overemphasize here, the organization-wide analytics, a way that you can plan holistically and be able to have the confidence that it's a reliable model. So this is really all about increasing your information and your decision-making support. There's a data maturity curve that really illustrates this in terms of, at one end on the left-hand side is where you're just getting started. And, most businesses go through this as they go through their growth cycle. You have enough resources for just the minimum, keeping things together, doing your best to plan. And then as you grow and as your business accelerates and you're looking for new opportunities, the need for more data and keener insights just continues to grow. And as you do that, you end up with this common path of you end up with some isolated data projects. You then realize that you need to share those. It brings in security and governance. And then, finally you get to this insight-driven culture. And what we find is these new tools now that help with planning, they really accelerate this process. And so you're able to, through a single license, be able to say, we have disparate data that is around. We have data, but getting to it and really getting insights from that it's a bit of a struggle. This is something where you can accelerate this data maturity curve and get to a place where you're really driving to value very quickly. So just it drives to agility and planning, which drives to business agility. Another way to say that is that this is really focused on value delivery. You want to have something where, because your information is coming to you faster in a reliable way, you get better decision making. If that is presented in a way that's really emphasizing a strategic view, then everybody can focus on optimizing your prioritization. Same thing with maximizing organizational engagement. You want to be able to have meaningful information, metric credibility, that'll drive to operational agility and consistent goals. So it's really taking this priority view of presenting and managing your data in a tool set that'll then drive to these types of value. So a while back, there was an analysis or survey, I should say, done of those that had implemented an automated tool set. And it really did play out, what we were talking about earlier about moving from tactical to strategic and turning that triangle over so you have more time for this accelerated or for the analytical processes. And 93% of the customers were able to just do all of their work faster by 30% or more. So a significant number were able to vastly, kind of out of the box, increase their ability to go through their planning process and to do that faster. Another question that came through is, did this reallocate significant time to higher value-added tasks? So did you have time to go through and to really think about within the decision-making window what the information is telling you and what you can do about it? And again, 93% said it increased their value-added tasks, their ability to do the analysis and have the conversation by, again, 20 to 30%. If it's more than a day a week, when you kind of put the numbers all together, is how does this play out in terms of really freeing up time and be able to have those conversations that are really meaningful about what the numbers mean. So impressive results, and this is why I was saying earlier about that data maturity curve. These kind of tools can really accelerate that, especially in the world of finance and operations. Empowering planners to be more strategic to the business. So now with the time to really think about what do the numbers mean, and to work with those numbers and then have the executive and management meetings that are talking about what do those numbers mean, 88% of the customers said that their role was more strategic and better partners to the business. And I really like the emphasis there on the partner piece, where it's not that they have, they feel kind of independently that they're thinking more strategic, but rather as an engaged management team, they're working in a much more strategic way. So what that does is it is a key part of really driving to agility and having the business be able to be nimble and responding quickly to the market. And again, on this slide, I'm going to kind of reemphasize what I started with here, where it is when you're able to, at a click of a button, see in the period what is happening and work within that decision-making window that you can get to the strategic point in your business planning processes and in your management decisions. So just talking about what is ahead, how do you prepare your business, and how do you think about implementing a system like this, and how do you evaluate that? Part of it is just looking at the benefits of automated planning. So here it talks a lot about just being efficient, so more efficient in the budgeting or the planning. As you go through the spreadsheet process, we all know that there's just lots and lots of different spreadsheets or lots and lots of different tabs. And as you move those things forward, it means that you have to make sure that as you move the time frame forward, that you don't break any of the links. And as you bring in data, that the new data doesn't break the links, but still provides a historical view. And then as you reach out to the different parts of the organization, ask for their data to come in, often it needs to be reshaped from those parts of the organization to really meet their needs. And then you as a finance team end up having to translate that and say, okay, now let's put some time and effort into this tactical thing of getting it into our planning models and then get those published out. Take all of those words and say that can be automated, that you can provide access to your budget managers or to those that are accountable to for the operations and the success of the business, and they can not only provide you the numbers, but then have ownership and interact with those on an ongoing basis. The same thing happens around this, ERP view. So many clients grow through acquisition, and in the process of acquisition, find that there's initially a desire to take this new ERP system that's coming in and then consolidate it together and kind of move it into your, the parent or the acquiring ERP system. Many times what this found then is that, as it turns out, the acquired company's system was really highly tailored to what they do and part of their success. And to move that over was a heavier lift without getting value. So it's just those things tend to stay in place. But then you're faced with this, well, how do we consolidate? How do we see this whole thing? That's what these automated planning tools will do. In near real time, be able to pull it all together in one place and be able to make those decisions without all the complexities of pulling these disparate systems together and having their information consolidated together. So that'll, one, reduce time in financial closing and all those other finance operations. I would also say that it is, one where it gives you that ability to work very quickly throughout the month as you're making really key decisions to moving your business ahead. Many of the CFOs that we work with, when as they're going through and talking about what is the ROI of putting in one of these tools, what return do I get? And you can always come up with what I call the soft dollar. You can avoid a hire, to get more analysis done. You can go through all those kinds of things. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to it and they've implemented, what we hear time and again is, if their people that are accountable for the success of the business make one good decision a year that pays for all the cost of these systems, and then everything beyond that is just benefit to the business. And the ability to have that quick information at your fingertips and to be kind of on top of the business where it's going, then you're able to really be on top of your market. I kind of want to draw attention to this last bullet here as well, this rapid what-if analysis. So a place where you can very, very quickly look at an opportunity that might be in front of you, do a quick what-if analysis, and have the facility to compare that to what is going on now, what is going on in actuals, what is going on in your annual plan, and how would that benefit, and be able to communicate that. So there's just a lot of benefits here to implementing that with some real hard dollar ROI as people are able to have the information to make those better decisions. This gets us to driving value through agility. So there are 5 things here, and this is a positive, I say a virtuous cycle. We're being responsive and adaptive and collaborative, and they build upon each other. So this is really a call out to be, and being responsive is to plan for everything. Have a tool set where you can do your what-if analysis and be able to share that broadly, get good feedback, and compare it to how things are going. With that responsiveness, you're able to be a more fluid organization. So you can be adaptable. So people will be working in a much more collaborative way, where they can say, if that's the opportunity, how do we flex to that? And how do we move that idea forward, seeing the benefits that it's presenting, which gets us to the next thing, is just being collaborative. If you're being adaptable and you're working together, then it drives to this ability to create the future together. So rather than looking at only what's going on now and what has happened in the past, turn that collaborative energy and point it towards the future. Giving the people the tools and ability to do that makes them feel empowered. And when you're feeling empowered, your team will become much more agile, and become agile again within that period when they can make a decision and be able to change the course of how things are turning out. All of that means be in control. This lets you really have the information to make decisions that gives you control over the direction and the results of the business opportunities that are presented in front of you. So with that, really appreciate the time you spent with me here, and be open to starting a conversation and discussing this more with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Loren, for a great presentation today. If you do have questions for Loren, you can reach out to him here directly. And we would also love it if you participated in our online survey, where you can provide feedback for today's presentation. Please take a moment to complete this survey, as your feedback is very important to us. And thank you for joining us. We hope you'll join us again next time.